We're here with Martin from Henco Industries, and today we're going to talk about the Henco inflow radiant heat products. So Martin, tell me about your tubing.
Yeah, so this is the tubing you typically find at the retailer. It's kind of like a plastic slinky, it comes off of a coil. You're going to try to install it, you let go of it, it's going to smack you in the face. Pretty difficult to work with. We do it a bit different. So this is a tubing that Henco has been making. Basically, I can bend this and hold on to its shape. Makes it a lot easier to install. It's not going to fight you. It's not going to bundle up like a spaghetti. So where does the magic come from? If you look at this piece of tubing, we actually have a layer of aluminum on the inside. So we have PEX, a layer of aluminum, and PEX again. So the aluminum actually helps the product to keep its shape. Brings a few benefits to the product. So first of all, as I've showed before, it helps to keep its shape. The aluminum also is going to help as a heat transmitter, because aluminum is obviously a good heat transmitter, so you're going to get a bit more heating out of this tube compared to the regular tubing. And also, what many people don't know is this aluminum works as your oxygen barrier. What does that mean? Typically, these kind of PEX tubings, they get an oxygen barrier sprayed on the outside, so it's like a coating. They can call them oxygen tight, but according to the directive, they only need about 92% oxygen tightness. So that means still 8% is going to go through. Now, obviously, you're going to have to install these. So you're going to run it through your hands while you're installing it. You might be rubbing off some of the barrier. So the 92% might have been dropped down to 80%, 70%. We don't know exactly, but it's definitely not going to be 100% oxygen tight. Or aluminum is actually 100% oxygen tight. So why is that important? If you get oxygen into the system, you're going to have the oxygen reacting with ion components from your pump, your boiler, etc. You're going to get magnetite formation. It's like a black sludge, some sort of corrosion. It's going to build up in your pump, your boiler, and it's basically going to reduce the lifespan of those components. So a few benefits out of this product compared to the regular PEX tubing.
So how do you install it?
Basically, there are a few different ways of installing it. So you can staple it to the insulation. So you're going to use a staple gun. It's going to be loaded with staples. You're just going to push the tubing down to the floor, and you can easily staple it down into the insulation. Other possibilities, you could be tying it to the rebar. So a few different ways of doing it, actually.
Is there an advantage to one or over the other?
Well, the thing is, this is probably the easiest way of installing it, because you can just go around with the staple gun, staple it down. It's really easy to install. It goes really quick. You could tie it to the rebar. It's a bit more labor intensive, because you're going to have to be doing the tie wiring. You'll be crouching a lot, being bent over a lot, so there's a bit more labor intensive. On the plus side, it sits a little bit higher up in the concrete, so the moment you're going to kick in the system, like when you switch from, let's say, summertime towards fall time or towards winter time, when you kick in the system, this might be a bit more reactive because the tubing sits higher into the concrete. Obviously, you're going to have a winter season that lasts 4 or 5 months. You need a heating. So it's only that like 1 or 2 days of advantage that you have out of this. Plus side on this is it sits lower down into the concrete. If you would be doing some sort of drilling or you make your saw cuts, the chances of cutting into the tubing is much lower.
It looks like there's a couple different sizes of tubing here. Why?
Yes.
Why are there different sizes?
Correct. So this is a 1/2 inch. This is a 5/8. Now that doesn't mean if you staple to the insulation, you have to use 5/8. It's just an example of the different possibilities there are. Typically, the average residential applications, you're going to be using a 1/2 inch. If you go to larger shops, warehouses, it might be more convenient to use a 5/8 tubing because we can make longer loops with them. Rule of the thumb, with a 1/2 inch, you're going to do about 300-foot loops. With the 5/8, you can go up to about 450. So for larger buildings, this might be more convenient. A few different options. An important one that we haven't mentioned before is our PEX aluminum PEX tubing comes in a few different sizes. So we have the 1/2 inch, we have the 5/8. There's also a 3/4 and a 1 inch. If you compare these sizes to the regular PEX tubing, the 1/2 inch is roughly the same in size. But as soon as we go up to, for example, 5/8, we will notice that the inner diameter of our PEX aluminum PEX tubing is actually bigger than the regular PEX tubing. The 5/8 of our PEX aluminum PEX comes pretty close to a 3/4 of a regular PEX tubing. So that means for the same size, you would get lower pressure drops with the PEX aluminum PEX compared to the PEX, which means you save on pumping power, you make the system more energy efficient. And the reason why we can make these inner diameters smaller is because we have a better wall strength with the aluminum compared to just the regular plastic tubing.
Do I have to use insulation with Henco tubing?
Yes, we always recommend to use insulation underneath. Because a good question, because many people often think like, well, but my floor is going to be hot, I'm not going to get cold feet because the in-floor heating is going to heat up my floor, which is correct. But the thing is, you're going to be running warm water through these tubes, coming from the boiler, heat pump or whatever. If you don't put insulation underneath, the cold from the ground will be leaching the warmth from the water that goes to the tubing, and you basically make the system less efficient. So we always recommend to put insulation underneath. Typically, you would say use something like an R10 underneath, like a 2-inch type of insulation that will help the system become more efficient.
So how does the hot water get into the tubes?
Basically, you have a few different options. That's the nice thing about in-floor radiant heating. It's really flexible the way you want to work with it. So a few different options are just a regular boiler. So that could be natural gas boiler, propane boiler. You could also work, for example, with an electric boiler. You can work with a heat pump. You can use a ground source heat pump. So there are many different options. Kind of depends how you want to work with it. Obviously, one is going to be a bit more efficient than another one. Heat pump is going to be more efficient, but it's going to cost you a little bit more upfront. But they can all work. So basically, you're going to have a heat source. It's going to be pumping the warm water into the manifold. It's going to go down into the ground, comes back into the return manifold at a lower temperature, obviously. It's going to be fed back to the boiler or whatever heat source you're using, which is going to bring up the water temperature again and feed it back into the supply lines. And obviously, the warm water in the tubing is going to heat up the concrete, and the concrete is going to heat up the building.
It looks like there's two different styles of manifolds here. What's the difference?
This is more of a classic solution. It's stainless steel. It's tried and true. It's been used for many years in floor heating applications. It's a good product. This is something we have introduced about 7 years ago now. It's a composite material. It brings a few advantages compared to these classic systems. So it's semi-modular. What does that mean? It's connected here with these clips. Here also the connection pieces are connected with clips. The flow meters are connected with clips. So what does that mean? Let's say an accident happens on a job site, someone drops a hammer on these and it would crack. You can just simply take these clips out, take the flow meter out, put a new one in, put the clips back in. It's really easy. You don't need any tools. You just pull these clips out, replace them, put a new one in. If that would happen with these kind of manifolds, it's a bit harder to do those replacements. Nice thing as well is, let's say you want to use the system for cooling as well. These composite ones are very resistant to condensation. That's why we use also plastic bottles for soda, etc., because they resist very good at condensation. So it brings a few benefits with this kind of product. So we have basically two flavors depending what the customer likes.
What kind of fittings do I need to connect the tubing to the manifold?
You don't need any fancy tools. You don't need to buy any proprietary tools, battery powered tools, anything expensive that would take up space in the van. So it's really simple, actually. This is what we call a Eurocone connection. It's a 3-piece. The ring goes over the tubing. The nipple goes into the tubing, and you just tighten this down onto the manifold with a simple wrench. So you don't need any fancy tools. Really easy to install. You just take this one off. And it's a 3-piece connection.
Are there any other fittings? Let's say I damage my tubing, can I repair it?
Yeah, if you, let's say you would, for example, have an accident and you drilled into the tubing, then there's a possibility to repair these. It's the very same style as this Eurocone, but it's basically a 2-sided Eurocone. So you're going to have that 3-piece connection on both sides. And you just attach this to the tubing. On the other side as well, let's say you made a cut in the tubing, you could cut a damaged piece out. You could use 2 of these with a new piece to connect them back together. So again, you don't need any fancy tools. These you can just tighten down with a wrench, which everyone has in their work bag.
Well, sounds like a really great system. Is this something that's brand new?
Not at all, actually. Henco has been making these since 1992 with an unchanged recipe in the same production plant. So that's a nice thing about these. We have these in job sites for over 30 years, so we also know they will last for a very long time. We do regression testing up to 50 years, but as I said, we have them in job sites, proving their value and their quality for over 30 years.
Well, great. Where can I buy it?
You can buy these at Underfloor Solutions. You can look them up on Google. The guys there can help you out with designs. They can help you out with bid sheets. They can make a package together and ship it nationwide.
All right. Well, thanks for this great information.
You're welcome.